Welcome to the Campfire. Today we're analyzing District 8-5A Division 2. The teams in this district include Dayton, Huntsville, Montgomery, Lake Creek, Nederland, West Fork, PNG, and Splendora. Let's begin by taking a look at these teams in our film session presented by the Houston Area Chevy Dealers. Let's be honest, 8-5A Division 2 was wild last year. 5 teams made a mad dash for the 4 playoff spots. And when the dust was settled, Port Neches Groves, Huntsville, Montgomery, and Nederland advanced. Lake Creek did not. Nederland was probably the biggest surprise. They picked up huge wins over PNG and Lake Creek. Running back Hubert Thomas has graduated, so the Bulldogs will need players like Jaden Ned to take the reins. PNG won the district last year, and as always, they're huge up front again. The experience of quarterback Connor Bailey should lead the Indians to the top of the district once again. Huntsville will introduce a new head coach and should be a serious contender to the 8-5A crown. The backfield is a strength behind Trayshawn Brown and Jarius Singletary. Over in Montgomery ISD, the Bears of Montgomery will be looking to return to the postseason behind linebacker Chase Abrantes. And Lake Creek had a disappointing season a year ago, but hopes to bounce back behind a strong offensive line. Dayton and West Fork should be much improved in 2025. It will be year 2 for Dayton head coach Jerry Prieto and his first full offseason. He's hoping his son, Jerry Jr., can lead the Broncos to a playoff spot. West Fork running back Courtney Simmons should help the Gators take a big jump in year 2. Splendora will be looking to pick up a district victory as they went winless in 2024.
The film session is presented by the Houston Area Chevy Dealers. Together, let's drive. Players on the Rise is brought to you by Parker University. Do you or your student want a career training the world's best athletes? Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today. The Campfire is brought to you by DQ for treats and eats before and after the game.
For an even deeper look at 8-5A Division 2, here's producer Ward Fasold and Matt Stepp from Dave Campbell's Texas High School Football with the District Breakdown.
All right, we are now in the 5A districts. My man Matt Stepp is with me, and we are talking 8-5A Division 2. Before we get into what to expect this year, boy, that was some wild stuff last year. Nobody saw the way Nederland would come up out the darkness and be right at the top until they struggled down the stretch and still made a playoff spot. I picked Lake Creek to get in there with Ty Byers and Marcos. Didn't happen for them. It was just it was like 5 good teams fighting for 4 spots. 4 of them got in, and PNG went up and played Sock like we all wanted to see, but then they didn't really want to see it because Sock put them to bed pretty quick. Talk a little bit about last year. Do you expect that kind of craziness again this year?
Yeah, it was a balanced district last year. I mean, Nederland went from being in first place to losing an overtime game in week 11 and missing out on the playoffs. Not missing, but getting 4th place,
right,
and having to go to Texarkana in the first round of the playoffs where they got, thumped by Texas High. It's a good district. I don't think there's quite as much of a delineation between the top 4 and the rest of the district this year. I think there's going to be a little bit more parity. Which I think is good because I think you're going to see some more competitive games this year in 8-5A Division 2. I look at the district as a whole, and I think the top 2 teams are still Huntsville and Port Neches Groves, but both teams have questions.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun year, and the winners of that district usually they play 7-5A Division 2, so they'll one of these lower teams are going to have to mess with Texas High again on the road, and that's probably not what they want to do, but hey, getting that 11th game is good enough for some of these squads. So we'll see how it happens, Matt. Next week, we're going to talk 9-5A Division 2, where we have another state title winner on that district trying to repeat. We'll see if they can do it. I'll talk to you next week, Matty.
We'll post the entire breakdown segment this Wednesday on our social media pages. Now, let's take a look at some game changers in our Players on the Rise, presented by Parker University. The best returning running back in this district is Trayshawn Brown from Huntsville. As a junior, Brown ran for 1,350 yards with an average of almost 8 yards a carry. Like most electrifying tailbacks, Faison is shifty and hard to get your arms around. He's also a weapon out of the backfield in the passing game. Brown has offers from UNT, Texas State, and UTEP, among others. At 6'4", 290 pounds, PNG offensive tackle Aaron Wolford is the baddest man in the district. As Wolford's frame started to fill out, his mobility and lateral quickness remained elite. The Indians are known for their dominance in the trenches, and Wolford has proven that the past 2 years. Aaron just bulls over defensive linemen like a monster truck and never wants to come off the field. As a matter of fact, he won a state championship in 2023 while playing on a torn PCL. Wolford is committed to Houston. On defense, Isaiah Lewis is a returning first-team defensive lineman for Huntsville. At 300 pounds, Lewis is simply impossible to block one-on-one once the ball is snapped. Isaiah is looking to clog up the opponent's running game once again as Huntsville vies for another playoff run. Dayton is happy to have their safety, Raken Akmal, as their last line of defense. Akmal led the team in tackles a year ago with 125. And since he was usually the last player left to stop a big gain, 85 of those tackles were solo. Akmal can also time out the blitz just right to stop a play in the backfield, as he recorded 2 sacks and 12 tackles for loss. If you're going up against Raken, you best get your angles right, or Akmal is going to snuff that play out.
The film session is presented by the Houston area Chevy dealers. Together, let's drive.
Our Ward Fasold caught up to Dayton head coach Jerry Prieto to talk about his Broncos in our Media Day segment.
All right, we are talking 8-5A Division II with Dayton head coach Jerry Prieto. We've talked to him before at different schools, but you've had your run here, a little 5-year run of going to different schools, but you feel kind of good being here at Dayton. I know you had your first season last year. Talk to me about how that went as far as players getting used to you getting used to players, and just talk a little bit about for year number 1.
Yeah, it was kind of a whirlwind first year, as a lot of them are, and I think we got in here and it was kind of a little bit of a culture shock to the kids, a little bit on kind of the expectations that we have as far as how to work, the hours that they're going to put in. But I thought our kids responded pretty well to it. Just like anything when it's new, sometimes there's a little bumps in the road, but I thought overall our coaches came in and did a great job of building those relationships with the kids. And I thought our kids played really hard all year long. We had to move a bunch of kids around to spots that, they weren't very comfortable playing just because, one, we were in a new program, and then, halfway through the season, we got to move them to a different spot and try to teach it on the fly. And so we were chasing our tail a little bit this year, but like I said, I thought our coaches did a really good job of coming in and adapting and adjusting and building relationships with the kids. And I thought the kids responded well, and we were off to a pretty good off season. We had a pretty good track season. So looking to some good things ahead of us.
I appreciate you joining me, Coach, and keep them boys healthy.
Yes, sir. That's the plan.
You can catch the entire interview Friday on our social media channels. Hey, that'll do it for this week's Campfire. Next week, we dive into 9-5A Division II. Until then, have a great week, everybody.